Hello, I'm toycat, and despite it being a Tuesday, there's no Minecraft preview today, meaning we'll have to wait until next week to see the copper golem changes we're expecting, but also to understand what hint this is meant to be, as well as to know where the update is actually going to go. But for now, let's get started with a reminder to subscribe to see more Minecraft bits, and also the latest short that Minecraft posted after 2 about the copper golem. They shared this one.
Find the town errors.
End update confirmed? More seriously, what this is likely to mean, them posting a silly exercise like this, is basically filler content because they are not around right now. This is backed up by checking the beta and preview information and changelogs page, which updates every single Tuesday, even when the Java team is taking their breaks, but it hasn't done so yet, likely because the 4th of July just occurred and this long weekend means that many people aren't around, and so they haven't necessarily updated Minecraft enough to share something with us. Now the question is, will we see that update we were expecting today, tomorrow, or will we see it next week instead? That is something only Mojang knows because nothing has been officially announced about it, but what we do know is that everything we were expecting, all of the changes to the copper armor, tools, and golem, all of those things are going to have to wait at least one more. Although that does raise the question, what are we expecting to see? And as much as I would love to just be like, well, changes, let me instead focus on some of the very biggest ones. Because here's the deal, when it comes to Minecraft previews, usually we tend to get one that has lots of exciting features, then the next one tends to fix it. So although there are lots of great ideas for what Minecraft could do next, it's important to note that one of the first things they'll do is fix some existing things. Not fixing them in ways like, oh yeah, right now you can kill a copper golem with just a single splash potion 2 of harming. That's kind of a feature because of how easy they are to craft, but what isn't a feature is the fact that if you have 2 chests next to each other, they kind of just become one big chest of the least oxidized state. That doesn't necessarily make any sense. Similarly, I think a lot of people find, or at least take some issue with the fact that copper golems can't reach very high. I put lapis lazuli in this chest, and then I filled the rest of these with junk, and then I gave this guy some lapis, and rather than going up to that 3rd chest, he's just found himself a weird hole over here where he's just going to stare into this door forever. Why is he doing this? I do not genuinely know. Is there a chest in there he's looking for, but it's just outside his range? This is a problem, I think we can all agree. And speaking of problems, when the copper golem dies with something in his hands, he actually doesn't drop that thing. This, you could argue, is the penalty for being a monster to your copper golem. Wait, did I get that back? I actually did. But what's really interesting is what happens when you give the copper golem a totem. Because specifically, he will use this in the way that you probably very much expect. So here is a totem. Let me give it to my copper golem. Or rather, let's give it to him in his preferred way. Look in that chest. Would you like this item? I bet you would. What happens if we attack him now? The answer is he will be permanently broken. He will never open chests again. He'll never look for things to sort. Instead, he'll just become a very weird looking guy with fire resistance. So you could burn him without any guilt for the next 30 seconds. Isn't that nice? The answer should be no, actually. Yeah, why were you saying, yeah, I know what you're up to. So yeah, copper golems are broken, and indeed copper tools as a whole could do with a little bit of a rejig, and that's what I would expect to see next week, or rather what I would have expected to see this week, but is apparently been pushed to either tomorrow or most likely next week now, and so look forward to seeing some fixes for simple things like this. I say this because I know a lot of people show up to the channel on Tuesdays to learn about the latest update, or indeed if there's a beta and preview, learn about that. However, in this case, we have a weird situation where we didn't know there was going to be a delay until the day itself, and presumably we just have to say it's the 4th of July. Anyway, I posted about this on Twitter, and one of the responses that I got was really intriguing because British Oat simply said, all I want is emerald armor and tools to fill the void between iron and diamond. I don't care that people say emeralds are too easy to source because you can get iron and diamond from villagers as well. However, I'd like to say that, yeah, forever, people were saying we need copper and we need emerald tools, and so now we have copper tools. A lot of people are saying, well, this makes it easier for them to add another tier of item, and I feel like this speculation goes a little bit along the vibes of people who are so sure that the moo bloom or the glare is coming because they heard a sound or they saw 2 flowers together. This is not how confirmation works. Minecraft have been very heavy-handed with their hints, except for that one thing we'll come back to, but I think that if Minecraft were going to add a 7th tier of tools. Would you actually want it to be emerald, or would it be more fun if they instead said, hey, guess what, we're working on steel. I think that if iron is meant to be the least enchantable tool, what if you had iron but better, but it's even less enchantable, but it's much closer to diamond? I love the way that these steel tool sprites that Unusual Garage put out there look, and I think that this steel has a great basis in the real world. You take iron, you purify it down a bunch by smelting it some more, and then you could get a brand new tool set that would actually make far more sense than emerald. I mean, how often do you see people with emerald swords or axes in the real world? I mean, to be fair, how often do you see people with swords in the real world? But you get the idea. I think that steel would make more sense if we're going for logical, and if we're not going for logical anyway, we're going for pure fantasy. Why stop at something as basic as emerald? Why not go for something as intense as what I love right here, enderite? So these enderite mockups were actually made by Talia Tao Tao on the Minecraft subreddit, and they basically have the idea that I think I've shared in videos before of what if there was another side grade to netherite. Right now, it goes iron, diamond, and then netherite is a bit better, but it's kind of an upgrade to diamond. So what if instead of making the next tool set better than netherite, what if you made it kind of similar to netherite? This is a really simple idea, and it's actually one we pursued for Toycat's toolkit. Eventually we decided, not just because of the fact that it's a pain to make the template, but also because of the fact that if we went with iron as our base, kind of like how netherite is an upgrade to diamond, if you make an upgrade to iron, you can make it way more powerful while still being a side grade. In the same way that they mentioned right here, there is a netherite sword, a netherite axe, a trident, and a mace, all of which can be argued to be the best. What if there was another set of armor that could be argued to be just as good? And so the ideas they list are, what if there was jump boost or slow fall? Some of my favorite ideas are the random teleportation, but again, I'm not gonna spend too long here talking about my favorite ideas for enderite, or endscry as we call it, but instead I'm gonna mention what I think is absolutely genius, the idea that it could float in the void so it can be retrieved, because in the same way that netherite doesn't burn in lava, what if there was an end tier of gear that could never be destroyed by that? Although, how would you get it if it's just floating in the void? These aren't important questions. What is cool though is that being creative is fun, and that's what I think is important from the Minecraft community. If we just say we want really simple idea here, then the best Minecraft can do is give us that. But actually, having creative ideas is really fun. It's a great exercise for you personally, but also it's the sort of thing that might actually inspire something great. And so even though I'm not sure that Minecraft can use these steel ideas or the enderite ideas for their copper toolset, I do think that there is lots of room for improvement there. Speaking of room for improvement, okay, so I love the idea of the having another tool tier. I love the idea of Minecraft coming back and fixing the copper golem, but there's one last actual hint from Minecraft themselves that we need to go into, because you might recall how before the copper update came out, Minecraft hinted on every social media using these little hints, and see you soon, you know, obviously that's a hint for copper update coming soon, and there were all these hints towards copper, but what I don't quite get is this TikTok Minecraft put out. So just as a fun reminder, TikToks are usually videos, but this is a series of images, weirdly enough. Anyway, so Minecraft shared this series of images, and in the last one, it hints that someone is going with a metal detector, and what they're finding is a mystery block. But what's weird is we haven't seen a metal detector, or anything that is found below sand, or beaches in any way. There has been no beach update, there's been no sand update, and there's been no metal detection update, and so what if that is potentially coming? Well, we know that Minecraft have gone big on the copper update so far, but there is a copper nugget that is yet to be used, and after looking into how metal detectors are crafted in real life, I found out that metal detectors can both find copper, but also usually have copper springs inside of them, and so what if there was some plan to use it in there? One of my favorite ideas I saw from Abdulad was how you could use copper for basically every recipe right now that involves electricity. What about copper piping? It's just a copper hopper, but what about copper piping? What about copper slabs? What about copper buttons? What about copper tridents? What about the idea of copper being used for rails or clocks? I love all of these ones, but I also think that we have something genius in the current copper golem in that he's really easily able to find an item in his chest and then go out and find it in another one. What if he had a special behavior for certain types of metals, let's say the ones that could be found with a metal detector, and he could go and find those in your world? That's idea number one, and idea number two is just maybe copper will generate slightly more below beaches, because obviously getting copper easier is something something that doesn't necessarily feel like it has to be done, but it is something that would vastly improve the current early game copper experience. Right now, a lot of people's complaints with copper pickaxes is you're just going to make one and then immediately go into some iron tools, and although that is fixed for copper armor, what if there was maybe an even easier way to find copper where you wouldn't find any stone, and maybe just below the sand would be the only explanation I can see for that. Or maybe they're just going to put copper inside of the buried chest, or maybe they were just hinting that something is coming soon in this TikTok and all of this is reading into it too much. That is the fun thing, isn't it? I think that Minecraft have been pretty heavy-handed with most of their hinting, but then we also have the tiny subtle things like, this see you soon having the exact copper coordinates on there. Minecraft clearly do know how to deviously hint, and so I want to know what you think that this actual hint here really means, because everything else is probably a bit of noise, and this is the real signal. But what is the signal? That's what I'm going to have to ask you to say, because I hope you all enjoyed this video today. It was a very different one than I was expecting to make, but no preview today meant we got to do a little bit of Bits Review, which is just as fun. It's one of my favorite series, honestly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that I'll see you tomorrow. Did you know it is my birthday this week? On Sunday, I literally turn a decade older, so, enjoy the videos between now and then, because, videos as of next week will be old man Minecraft videos, so enjoy the last of young man Minecraft over the next few days. Thank you, goodbye.